Derivative trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Well, I had a little bit of a slow start today, but I think we're doing okay. Let's get the links. Well, I think I'm allergic to something. Man. All right. Let's just change this to be only today. Only today and e-mini. Okay, so. Entonces. I must have allergies or something. Good grief. All right. So, here you can see equities market moved down quite a bit. Two real extensions here. This last one in the last 30 minutes. And here equity or treasuries moving up significantly. And we are well above yesterday's levels in treasuries, but it's like way already way overextended. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy, guys. It's pretty crazy stuff I am seeing here already. And yes, the 2 and 10s are getting like really close to inverting. 10-year bond yield turns negative. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, that's bad. That's not good. That's not supposed to happen. Lucas, we're missing the action. I know. Okay, we got this in the right screen, yes. This might be correlated with the German manufacturing news. Yeah, so the guys in the Discord, I asked them, is this because of Brexit? And they said no. They said that the PMI was really bad. So, yeah. I don't know, blow my nose here. Holy crap. All right. While they're telling us we could potentially sell it here. It does look awfully overextended, doesn't it? Done it. Yeah. I kind of want to see a little bit more than that, though. Okay. Might go without me. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Like getting filled and then having 3,000 stack on you is not necessarily a good sign. And I'm not seeing the big old honking order here again, but maybe these are going to tick down. They look like they could. Already a ton of people watching, so good morning. We've been getting a lot of new people into the Discord this week, so that might be what the deal is. But the stream and especially the YouTube chat is kind of more for fun. So if you just want to, say funny things or chit chat, that's where it is. Because sometimes this thing is really boring. Right now we gotta be focused, but well, that was a lot that hit there at 27 and it didn't go. So somebody seems to believe that it's gonna go up further. If the Treasuries went up another step, that would be crazy insane. I mean, that would really be something else. My birds are awake early because the wife has to work early. Okay, well, they get through it. It doesn't stay offer. Eek. Okay. Alright, that time it's staying a little bit longer, but they're not stacking a lot on it. Okay, 1500 is a little better. Okay, that's good. I like it. Let's just reset that like that. E-mini appears to be recovering. I guess I can move that. That should not go away. Okay. Well, it's a tough call because there's a lot of volume going through all over the place here, Look at that. Oh, they traded back through 27 really easily. That's kind of scary. Well, shit. Look at that. I don't like the way it's ticking. Okay. Well, I mean, now that that's happened, Hmm. They did get some Canadian PMI actual 0.7 versus an expected 0.1. That's just a lot of volume here. Lucas says I was making coffee when they broke 24. Oh, geez. Yeah, okay. George Conway, think about the fact that we don't just have a mentally unstable president, but a president who thinks he needs to be re-elected to avoid being indicted. Okay. Okay, George. You know what, George, to be honest, I kind of have to question your own mental state. Like, why would you tweet that kind of shit? Your wife is his like most trusted advisor. Good fucking grief. Wow. That is just so crazy. I just don't see how you go through that situation and this thing just keeps going and they don't like get divorced or something. You know what I mean? Okay, well now the bid is 4K at 26 half. So it looks like maybe there's big guys on both sides of this now. Pretty ridiculous. ZB is up near them January highs. My brain almost can't compute it going any higher, right? Well, that's one. I'm just looking at like my 30-minute chart going back, and I'm like, okay, so there was this huge move on Wednesday from the FOMC, and now we're gonna have another move and balance higher that's almost just as big. Like, that doesn't. I have a hard time making sense of that. And you can see here, they block sold 26 half. So whoever is selling this is pretty insistent. But the buyer is not giving up. The two most consensus trades at the start of the year, lower USD and higher yields, are getting crushed. Yeah. The yields are definitely getting crushed. Be careful. Two key levels broken in the 10 and the 30 year. Well, I think they're fucking with us here, man. I mean, look at this. Okay. Hands off, I guess. That really was like they had 9K stacked on the offer there. Um, they were hitting some block sells and stuff, and it was still able to go up. So that wasn't just like a trick, right? I think that we were taking a reasonable signal, but somebody decided that they wanted to buy it more badly than the guy that sold it there. And of course, it's probably, it could just stop us out and come back down. Oh, man. See, now they're giving you it's going to go down to 26.5 again. After they just barely stopped us out for 2 ticks. That's crazy. And look at all the big orders in the 5-year. Oh, man. Could also be some spreading going on here. That buying there might have been some spreading. Yeah. Look at that. Now it's going to go down and we're going to miss it. That sucks. I don't think I can sell 25.5 either. The E-mini is not too confidence inspiring at the moment. 147.28 in CB. The fact that the 10-year ranges trade wider than the 30-year is new to me. Yeah. Just a little. I doubt that stays like that for very long. Oh, man. These guys. I've never seen it be so contentious. Selling somewhere up here makes sense if the signal comes despite being relatively low risk. I do it. Crazy, this shit. It just makes no sense. I have no read. There's no read with the volume profile, and the price action is weird so far. It's a tough call. Like, I'm thinking back on it, and I'm like, well, first of all, I got an okay price in the beginning, right? Maybe if I had just sold 27.5, that would have been an okay trade, right? But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, but when it's acting like that, I'm not sure that you even want to be in. You know what I mean? So that was pretty nasty. Unusually nasty for us with the small stops, you know? Or Sun Tzu took short, got a few ticks sitting on hands until PMI. Like the cumulative delta through all of this is actually technically higher. Okay. So the E-mini continues to try and push up a little bit. But given the way that the price action is, I probably am going to stay out for a while. Why does everyone here just trade for a few ticks? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Alligator says, why not? And that's what I was thinking. I was like, no, I should give him like a better answer than that. Yeah. More consistent results. Yeah. More opportunities. You do get killed on the commissions. That's true, just being me. 100%. Adrian says, and Z and I risk 3 ticks to make 6. Yeah, trade a few days and compare both. Okay. Tick up at 26. So go for more ticks. You just, I don't know. It's interesting to see. Obviously, different strokes for different people. Order flow alone is tough. Sat with some big traders, and order flow is for execution. Bigger time frame for ideas. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting to me that we had such a contentious fight at 27 and 27 half. And now we've come down 2 ticks and it's kind of not really doing much of anything. Yeah, War Sun Zoo. Most prop firms put new traders on a dom and tell them to trade T notes, no charts. I know a psycho who risks 3 to make 1 and scalps currencies like 24/7 and makes $1 million a year. Really? I can see that though. I mean, I think that that would generally could work. No more jigsaw. What's wrong? You can see. Yeah, I've got the right one up. Oh, sorry. I was getting that thing where YouTube isn't showing me all of the comments again. Swisso says, I think it's funny what the others write, Seth. Can you tell them how they would act without Jigsaw? What happens when there is no more? Well, I mean, if Jigsaw wasn't around, we would all just use the exact same thing in Sierra charts, right? or trading technologies. Uh, hmm. I've been at a prop firm. Adrian, maybe make 3 trades in a day. Yeah, same here. Well, I think I end up taking a lot more trades than 3, but that's probably way more than I should, right? If you think the US yield curve is bad, then don't look at Canada. Top Trump trade official Cleet Williams to leave the White House in weeks as China talks continue, sources say. That's not good. Unless he's leaving because he thinks that he's accomplished what he needs to. Yeah, YouTube does this weird stuff sometimes. So like, I'll be watching the conversation through the restream chat, and some of the YouTube comments don't come up. I tend to take 5 or 6 ticks. This is the N8 here. It's like, I don't know. Now they're back up to 27. Okay, so now I'm a little bit more like this makes a little bit more sense to me. Just that like, there was a strong push down, but they're still pushing it up and it shouldn't have gone. Like they were fighting. And I figured, if the seller won, then it should go a lot further than that. But it didn't. So that must mean that they're not done yet. Okay, so iceberg at 27.5. Okay. Donald Trump, our own Benjamin Hall, is doing fantastic reporting on ISIS right on the front line. ISIS was willing to die, but now, because of big pressure, save for a few people in caves, most have surrendered. A testament to our president. Thank you, Peach Hisgeth. Yes, also is quoting a reporter. Okay, futures traders. Stream's gonna be up in a minute. I have truly enjoyed the high quality Papa John's product for years and am excited to be able to help Papa John's raise their game to new heights, says Shaq. Okay. Uh, oh, okay. So what's Swiss was saying here? Most think that because they look at the market order, that is order flow. That is wrong. We had someone in the office who traded with Jigsaw at home. If we gave him X Trader, he had no idea how to read the order flow. I gather you studied Grady's courses in webinar. Yes, that's mainly where I got things. Could you trade without Jigsaw, for example, with X Trader? Well, so that's a very good question. I think that I probably could, but I think that it would be a lot more difficult because the way that Jigsaw splits the order flow out and everything, I think is just like so useful. I mean, you can totally do the same thing in TT. I mean, that's John Grady started with TT. The first time that I ever read the No BS day trading course, um, he said you got to use trading technologies. And he was like excited that the Ninja Trader had come out and had an okay thing. But then it was not very long after that that Jigsaw came along. You can actually, you know that you can actually set the Jigsaw DOM up to be the same as the TT one, right? So like the thing with the TT is that in trading technologies you get this. Where is it? How do I show it? I think it's this merge snapshot thing. No, because I don't have the snapshot columns on here. Yeah, why would you want to make it harder? Trading is already super hard. Yeah. I just don't know where the recenter now. It's one of these ones. I don't remember where the property is, but there's a property that will make it so that on the volume profile, it will show the current trades. Just like the set under volume setting. Am I on the right tab? Is it under the parameters tab? Or is it under here? Volume profile. Show current trades. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Okay. And then you would get rid of these two columns and you would see it, right? I got you. So my understanding is that that's the way that TT shows it, right? So you got to really watch it, right? Because here I can see that 471 has gone into here and 854 has gone into here, but with the TT one, You're only going to see what has most recently printed, which is a little different, you know? But like, that's the whole thing. Jigsaw totally shows you the same information. They're just aggregating it in a way that I think is a lot easier for people to interpret, right? So I'd have to say I would probably not trade as well at first for sure if I was using the TT DOM and I didn't have the current trades columns. But I don't know. I think a lot of what I'm doing though, as of late, the man, there's just been so much volume getting absorbed at every price and all those sorts of things that the amount trading at each price hasn't really been a huge factor lately. And you're getting this thing up at 27.5 again. Oh, I hate that. So we traded up and they pushed it down 2 ticks, 27.5. Yeah. Well, I don't like that. I like being able to see the volume profile, so I'm gonna leave it. Oh wait. So I'm going to leave it like that. Yeah. That's the way to learn order flow. Split profile is good for the being. I don't understand. So, um, what would be the advantage of doing it that way? Does the 30 or 10-year move more? If you only focus on the split profile, then you never make money trading, and there are already Jigsaw users who make a living, which shows the ones who make it can read the overall picture. Yeah, okay. I don't believe you. like the whole thing is that it's showing you the same information. So there is nothing that I can see if I had it set up like the TT DOM that I can't see with it split up like split profile. It's literally the same information. It's just aggregated differently. Let's see if he's an explanation for why I'm wrong. 708. I was looking at it and thinking, oh, maybe we can go short now, but I think that the time of day and everything like that, it's probably better to just stay away from that. Giuliani isn't expecting any more Mueller indictments, reports MSNBC. If Jigsaw is detrimental, then there would not be traders who can live from trading using Jigsaw. Yeah. No, Lucas has got a point there, right? There are some people, I mean, you can go and look at the leaderboards. Although the funny thing about the leaderboards is that when you look at it, I mean, there's always that one guy that is just killing it with a live account. But so many people are trading it sim, which is very curious. But I think that the honest truth is, by the way, good morning, Dark Fallen. I don't know if I may have missed that through all of the action there. But I think that the truth is that most of these people that are interested in order flow are really small traders, and people that might not even have the margin for even getting, even trading Xeon. We're talking about guys that can maybe get together a couple $100. Yeah, if you were going to swing, you would probably want to do it in the 30. But the 30-year has a tendency to try and stop you out. They can be nasty over there. Oh, Ace Trade's already made a point on that? I don't know. I tried to trade the other day in the E-mini and it just did not work out very well. and I'm trying to figure out what is it that I got to do. The thing is there's a way too much of a how do we say the mean reversion sort of a thing going on in the E-mini. Okay, well they stacked some at 28. They might try and push this mother up. Algo's on a stump hunt rampage in cable. Understand number 10 now seriously considering indicative votes on Brexit. Next week, government source tells me there could be 7 options: Prime Minister deal, revocation, second referendum, deal plus a customs union, deal plus customs plus a single market, FTA, or no deal. Donald Trump tweeting about his comments on the Golan Heights. That one really surprised me yesterday. I think that BB just asked him to do that, and he was like, anything for you, BB. Sorry, is that his name? Am I saying that right? Mr. Netanyahu. Feeling a little odd this morning. Okay, so there was a little stack there at 28, and then they tried to get through 28.5, but when it came back down, it wasn't there anymore. In US session, I like FGPLZ and ZBES DOMS combo. I wish I had the FGBL. I think that would be useful, but I don't want to pay for that data. By the way, the market orders in the 30-year have been selling, even though in the 5 and the 10 it's been up. Some spreading, so they trying to steepen it here. Sure looks like it. Yeah. But the short end of the curve is getting slaughtered. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I think we need another one of these. Duplicate in new tab. And show me ZT. And what is the ratio for the 2s and 10s? Intercommodity spread ratios based on March 2018. No, that's not what I want. June. Okay. So do we want TUT, 2-year versus 10-year note? There's probably a couple of different ones, isn't there? There's an ultra one as well. But it's 2 to 1. 2 to 1. Okay, so oh, they changed the ratio on the knob. I should probably update that. Okay, but this is 2 to 1, and this is going to be ZT, and this is going to be ZN. Okay. 88. Let's come back over here and change this and see how that changes it. So if the knob is 3 to 1 before, and now what did I say it was? It's 5 to 2. 5 to 2. Oh, that changes things a little bit, but not significantly. Oh, we'll change it over here too. what about FYT? It's still 3-2. Okay. Here comes your 2 points. Oh, from the move down. Bloomberg saying this buying in the treasuries makes no sense now when you can earn as much interest on a run-of-the-mill savings account. Well, I disagree with that. Here's why. Because if I buy some bonds right now, and we go into a recession, yeah, there is the interest that you make, which isn't all that great, but they're going to be worth a heck of a ton more in a year from now if there was a recession. And your savings account's not going to do that. So they're wrong. I think they're wrong. That's just my take. But gap open, hold of half session gap, overnight low, volume node. Now back above the VWAP. A likely next area is overnight high, with very good historical stats of overnight high or low to be broke during the RTH session. Yes, I've tested that as well, and it's like 60 to 70% of the time that they break the overnight high or overnight low during the regular session. The one thing I always look at it like, okay, so here's a stat. What are some things that might make that stat less reliable? Well, today it is the fact that it is Friday. And we have that PMI data coming out too, right? So in like, what, 15 minutes? 15, 20 minutes? I think it probably, in treasuries at least, I think it maybe is better to just sit and wait for the PMI. In equities, man, that thing is been selling. I don't know. I wouldn't have minded selling it, but I didn't necessarily see a signal. Like, it wasn't doing anything before it went down. So I don't know how Ace does that. Sometimes I've seen it and I'm like, oh yeah. But other times it's like, it's going to go down and it magically does it. I don't know how he does it. Market manufacturing, not as market moving as ISM in the US, but I do think it will have an impact today coming up after equities open. A number of US traders have told us the same this morning following grim PMIs out of the Eurozone. Did we got anybody saying anything in the ZB and ZF? Pointing out that bonds moved to point. I don't know. I mean, if bonds keep moving up and they really do take out the overnight high, which is possible, but at the moment, trading still looks very iffy. Then I would think that you would be seeing the E-mini pushing new lows, retracing a lot of yesterday's move. I mean, yesterday's move didn't really make much sense in my opinion. I think that it would make a lot of sense for much of that to be retraced. But if it does retrace, it's not necessarily like the end of the world in bonds, and so I'm not quite sure I see the panic to be coming up here too, but it seems like that the bond market is definitely very, very concerned right now. You know, like they are 100% pricing in a recession right now. No question about it. Bank of America stock gains solely driven by corporate buybacks / derivative call buying, short covering, retail single stock buying. I would really love to know how they make that determination. I really saw a short opportunity at 09, but I'm a chicken in the... Was it when they traded over that big iceberg there? Muted inflation and weak retail sales reinforce Canada's cautious stance on rates. Now they're having trouble 27.5 go bid again. I don't know. I mean, this kind of looks like a short to me, but the time of day is all wrong. The time of day is all wrong. Nigel Farage vows to lead Brexit party in European elections. Senator John McCain's youngest daughter to President Trump, you are a child. It really bothers me how much the media focuses on the fact that he is attacking John McCain and not on the bombshell revelations from court documents about John McCain. Well, Swizzo seems to be saying they should be looking for a short. I don't know. I'm not looking for anything right now. Thank you for your input, though. 28.5. Well, I do think that push up and coming a little bit short of a new high is not a good sign for higher. But I really think here with both the E-mini open and the PMI coming that this could really do anything it wants. And really, in something that's been in a pretty tight range. Like maybe I could have made 4 ticks, but overall, I just don't think that the opportunity is there for me yet. It's interesting, a little bit of buying there in the E-mini. Ace Trade says tighten the stops. So do you think that they're gonna go for the overnight low there, like on the open? Because I kind of see it like I don't see why they would get that close and not go for it. 3-month 10-year spread drops to 0.013% and rebounds. The Federal Reserve has dedicated a trading team to selling 10 years today. What? Where does it get that? No clue, Seth. Market does what it does. Okay, sure. Different question. If there was an impulse up, let's say that there was an impulse up, but it wasn't like a strong volume one like we had on the open yesterday. But let's say that it moved up, and would there be a price that maybe you would start looking for another short again at that point? Or is it just kind of seeing what it does? Okay, I am seeing something in the 10-year. Curious. Yeah, it says you just have to play by ear. Okay, so there's the open. There was not a strong impulse on the open. It's quite flaky here, in fact. They are buying it, though. All right. Ace took it long. How does Zero Hedge know that the Federal Reserve has dedicated a trading team to selling 10 years today? Moody's says there's a possibility that UK Parliament could agree to different Brexit approach and then ask for a longer extension. So they're saying Parliament could say this is the deal that we would accept and then ask for the extension again with a more concrete plan. I suppose that could work. I don't know. It really, when I heard that news this morning, it really felt like, oh, so the European Union is really going to try and strong arm them into accepting the deal that's on the table. Well, it's going back and forth there at 27.5 quite a bit. I would have very much preferred 28 though. Yeah, that's a strong long. Okay. So far, so good. Looks like Kudlow was on television recently. Okay, E-mini coming back there a little bit. I don't know. I was coming in here thinking, okay, there could be a good sell in in equities, and they coming in and they're buying it up, and this just feels to me very much like yesterday. You know what I mean? Did you trade yesterday, by the way, Ace? I don't recall if we saw you. Because I was really surprised by that move up. I was like, how would you know that that is coming? Because that is crazy. That is a move that you don't want to miss, you know? Is this the all-time high for the contract in the 30-year? Certainly not. Certainly not. Okay. So a little bit of um, sell in there. Hmm. I was thinking about buying it around 28.48, but I thought that there was going to be an impulse lower first before I would get my price. And it's already taken a buy impulse and Treasuries reacted to it. So I think that my opportunity there might have been passed. Let's see. It's kind of doing this head fakey stuff there. Ooh, okay. Let's just watch here. Let's just say that it was at 48. I'm not confident enough to have taken it because I wanted to see like overextension. 27 and a half goes bid. The 5-year looks like it is selling really strong. I think if we had bought 28.48, I would be pretty happy just because you would be getting potentially 8 ticks. And it really did not go very far below that, did it? And it is doing like an ascending triangle sort of a thing. I think that I need to think about getting out of this before the news. Did this actually only ever give me 2 ticks favorable? Because for a moment there, it looked super like a really effing great trade. I was like, oh, this is awesome. They're definitely trading the E-mini here. Like it just goes a few ticks one way and they tick up or down. It's kind of getting kind of silly. I think it's silly. How do you use options for your benefit trading ES if there is advantage in that? Well, you would have to be really, really big, first of all, to be really doing options in ES the right way. Um, but you can have a big position and you can hedge it so that you can say, well, it may go sideways to up, and I think what Swiss was talking about is seeing the trade activity, not just the total of market orders. He is predetermining his thoughts on looking at how it trades in that area. That might be true. Well, I think there's this whole thing about the way that it ticks, you know? So in terms of that, I think that what you see on here doesn't really change anything. But I think, yeah, smash a bit with that approach, you don't really need split columns. That's probably true. And in that respect, if we were to look over the past week, I'm not so sure that my trading would have been different if I was just using um the TT DOM, because the amount traded here lately just has not been relevant, you know? The icebergs show up and disappear at seemingly at random. Okay, well. Okay. So it should be getting 1 minute warning here. What's the deal? Let's move this over here. Does that hedge help, or is it just minimize the size? Well, like the thing you got to remember with options, there's kind of two. Well, I don't want to say two, but okay. Here we getting something here. Okay, hold up. Okay, PMI actual 54.8 versus an expected 56. Composite was 54.3 versus an estimated 55.2. Okay, so the numbers were bad. They weren't terrible. Sure glad I got out of that short though before the market. Okay, I'm not seeing what I want to see at 29 yet. They're kind of acting like they're just going to plow through it without moving at all. Okay. Well, I don't want to manage two of them at the same time, but I think I could potentially go short in the E-mini here too. Okay. Good deal. Okay, so as I was saying to Wrong, to me, there are two things about options that I think are really interesting and make them interesting to trade. Oh, jeez, this is gonna get ugly. This thing is mad. Yeah. Wow. Okay, pretty strong bid now. Okay, but they did take one. Oh, you missed it, Forrest. Okay. Okay. Well, I think you should wait this because even though that was some pushback for sure, I think this is one of those ones where you get the stop and then they're going to push through it for a few more ticks. And I do see some guys sitting here at where my target is. And look at ZB. Like, ZB's got that big old order at 21. Yeah, sure enough, could have sold the mini there. Okay, so let's just put that in our mind that would have worked, that spot that we saw. Jeez. Okay, when it ticks up like that, there's more to it. Wow. They're really upset. This market is like really upset. They're gonna have to retrace like that whole fucking thing from yesterday in equities, I think.
and who knows how high treasuries can go. They're panicked, like these can just they can just go and go and go. Wow. Well, we should move our stop up because it could come back down quickly. Hmm. Okay. So, as I was saying, two things about options that I think make them interesting to trade. And the first thing is that you can limit um your risk in odd ways. Like you can make it so that um you know you make money if it goes up or sideways, you know? Like if nothing happens, you make money. Or you can say, if it stays within this range, I make money, right? But then the other edge is that you can look at, the prices and the probabilities and everything, and you can just try and play it based off of that option being overpriced or underpriced, you know? So, okay, so I didn't like that downtick, but I'm not gonna. The market looks so upset. I would really like to just kind of hold on to it and see what happens. So you can get a situation where you think that something is going to happen. Let's just say that we're talking about treasuries here. You think that some big event is going to happen that's going to push us up. And when you look at the call options for it, call options are actually really cheap. So you can basically take a low risk long without, you know, and take advantage of the options being cheap. And if your scenario plays out, and maybe it's a low probability that your scenario plays out, but if your scenario plays out, you make so much fucking money, you know? So that's where I think that those are some of the things about options that I think make them attractive. And like they were saying, you don't to trade options on treasuries. I was saying to do it properly because I don't know what the size is on them, but let's just say that there are 100 lots like they are stocks, and you would need enough, a large enough account to buy, 100 100 contracts or something like that. You know, that is if you wanted to do covered things and like sell options and stuff like that. But if you just want to buy like single calls and puts, I don't think that you have to have a huge account. Okay, there's the new high. So interestingly, more liquidity at 025 than at 02. Oh, they ticked down there. There's still They're still messing with it. U.S. manufacturing PMI plunges to 21-month lows. Services slump. Okay, so the number, even though the number was not hugely off expectations, when you look at it in that perspective, it was a really bad number. Well, look at that go. You seeing big numbers like that get taken out, it's a little scary. Let's move it to there. All right. So they're at 33 in the E-mini. I don't think the ES is done. And look at that. So now they are setting up a level break at 015. You could buy 015 right here. They gonna do it? Yeah. So the context here is good for it. Over 1 trillion in bond notional will go negative yield today. Huh. Jeez. What? I think that I want to take that. Okay. All right. Well, that's not bad. Dear Federal. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. I have to calm down a little bit. From Zero Hedge. Dear Federal Reserve, would you care to discuss your policy error? Fuck. That, man. That gets a like. Good grief. Wow. See in ZB how they filled that big order, then another big order showed up below. I don't know. I saw a bunch of stuff there. The big thing that I saw was that there was like some real, yeah, okay. See, I probably should have held on to it. But at 025 there was some crazy, right? And when that happened, they did come back a little bit. Now, I think that there's still some potential to go even higher, just because the E-mini really probably wants to go to 20, 28, 25. But yeah, you can see that this is a spot. Short end needs rest too. The big thing that clued me in there was that it ticked back and forth across 2002 half, like furiously, and a ton of volume traded there. And that to me is indication of like stop runs and profit taking all at the same time. So you tend to get profit. You tend to get a little bit of a pullback off of something like that. So we could get maybe all they get is 0.2. Maybe the O2 they did tick a 1/2. Maybe that's all we get and then it goes higher, but I think that taking the profit there was the right decision. Or at least when I say the right decision, at least um the way that my strategy should be. Okay, so you was talking about do you see how in ZB, so I didn't catch that. Yes, I did notice that when we moved up and we took out that big order, that now there's this big order at 16. Yes. But I'm personally not reading too much into that, just because for one, that big order at 21 has been there for a really long fucking time, right? It's been there all morning. And the one at 16 is at 16, and they always do something funky at 16. So that might be somebody just making a trade like that they think it's going to go to 16 and then we could push higher. Okay, so getting home sales now 5.51 versus an estimated 5.1. And existing home sales month over month actual 11.8 versus an estimated 2.2. That's really, really good. Wholesale inventories actual 1.2 versus an estimated 0.2. So those numbers weren't necessarily too bad. Oh, look at this thing come back. Look at it come back. Wow, 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 wow. So now we come back down and test it because nothing was added higher. I got you. Yeah. Well, that's why I was saying I think you get this 16, it definitely becomes a target, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't see another new high today. I'd be super uncertain. But I do get what you're saying. Like you can kind of see it here in ZB a little bit. Maybe not on the video, but like you saw that there was a little bit that was added at 04 and a little bit that was added at 05, but then it came off. So they when it's really trending, they'll tend to take out a target and then another target will show up and then it'll take that one out. And if that's what you're talking about, I totally see that sort of a thing. Although I don't know, I think I care more about just the way that it's ticking at that point. And I think I'll be suspicious about those because I've seen. I remember one time. Oh man, that one pissed me off. I don't think that I lost money from it, but just seeing it happen pissed me off. Where it was like we were having I think it was during a downtrend, but let's just pretend that it was an uptrend, right? It was an uptrend and you had a thing like this, and there was like a crescendo up here, and we thought, okay, maybe it's over, and there's some people going short, and there's a big order shows up here at 16, and so they're coming down to get it. And then they get close to it, like they take 18, and all of a sudden the 16 completely pulls. And the market like freaks out and shoots back up higher. Oh my gosh, it was so funny though. Like in retrospect, it's funny to me. Right, you only know in the moment. Orders could get added at any time, but they're good clues. Yeah, totally agree. It well, and let's just make it clear that the type of action that we're seeing is a big part of what makes it such a good clue, right? When it's moving, you can do that. There's two things that when it's moving that I notice you will see happen. One is that you will see it take out targets on the DOM and then keep going and take out the next one and take out the next one and keep going like that, right? Number two is that they tend to keep moving until they reach single prints, until they've closed all of the single prints from the last big move. That's not too relevant here in ZN because, like, man, we're so high. But in the E-mini it is. That's why I was saying very good chance of getting to 28.25. And then the third thing is that you will see the level break over and over. They will come up to the high of the day, and you will see 3,000 or more sell into, the price just below the high, and then they will either hit the offer or completely pull the offer and stop people out higher. Is that supposed to be like a high five, Uzi? I was a good trade. I feel really good right now. Like, I'm really happy and positive. I didn't like that first trade when I got in, just because it was like, ugh, this is shit action. This is the stuff that screws me up, and like I'll try and trade it and make it back and like lose and lose and lose. So wait for PMI, and then I did it and it worked out. So I'm happy with the way that my strategy went and everything. And picking up 8 ticks is always feels great, right? It was 10 ticks actually. It was 10 ticks. And not only did I get the 10 ticks, but I caught the word magic doesn't show up on your other chat. Oh, smash the bid. And on range days, you will get bigger orders sandwiching price with slightly smaller orders in between, pushing it around. Yeah. Well, and that was what I found. I think that was the thing that, like last May, really fucked me up. Because that level, so my entry at 29, I probably should have gotten in earlier than 29, but when I saw it step up, that was like just below the high, and I was looking to see some absorption. And I guess there was a little bit, but they just went. And when they went beyond that, I knew that the market was going to really start taking off if they did. So that's why I took that trade, right? So in my head, that was a level break trade. Okay, the signal that got me in there was a level break. I like that trade too much. Like, I mean, we saw what just happened, right? Like, when it works out, and you get crazy action. And so not only does it feel good because you win, but you feel good because you get furious action, and like it really rewards your brain for that, right? And so I feel that I very much got into a tendency of, really wanting to take that level break because it's been my best trade. And then the March and April come and go, and the market becomes much more range bound. They will do that level break trade. And my stats say that it's really more of a 50-50 thing. But there was a time period there where they would pull the level break and it would fail every freaking time. Every freaking time. And it was just like, just kind of like what you're saying. You'll see like a big order show up somewhere. And so you think, because when it was in trending action, that's what it's going to do. It's going to go towards the liquidity. But then it's a different type of action, and it's almost like they run away from it. And you get these little smaller orders that kind of push it around in between. I think that I can kind of see what you're saying. I have to look at that one a little bit more closely because the slightly smaller orders, that might be difficult for me to see. And I'm not sure if I've never necessarily noticed that before, but like when you say that, I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that is what happens. Now look at CB. It came down and tested that order. Nothing was added lower, but you did have order stacking higher and local pressure vanished. Yeah. Well, they didn't quite trade through it. That they do have some of those orders stacking up at the high. Something that's interesting to me in the 10-year today compared to yesterday. Yesterday we had a pretty decent move down, right? I think I only got like 4 ticks out of it, but it was bigger than 4 ticks, right? And like they would tick down and there would be like 7K on offer, right? And they just really stacked up on it, When I look at this, I see 6,000s, but I see those at like almost every price. Well, every price that's traded, at least. So, uh, I guess the only thing I can conclude from that is that there's a lot of interest in trading this market now. We're about to pass the last level I have loaded for Auction Vista. I set it up last month, put levels on the Excel spreadsheet every quarter. 20, 48, 24 is the last one. and 5 traded into it and they came back down. I was about to ask about changes in market condition during April, May, June, so they become more range bound. That's a theory. That's a theory. I should be really careful about that. That's a theory. But last year, what happened to me was I said to so I was trading combines, right? And I was having some trouble. Like I would do well, but it was like I would be down 500 on my combine, and then I would have a run up to 2,500, and then it would come back down. And so because I had a loss and then a gain and then a loss, you don't pass the combine. But if I had started it at the beginning of my loss, I would have passed. I would have made the 3,000 and it would have passed on one contract, which is like, well, I'm looking back on that now and I'm like, that's amazing. Make $3,000 on one contract in 1 month or 2 months is really fucking good. But then I would have like terrible times and I would wouldn't make it, essentially. And so at some point, that was when I made the thing and I said, you know what? It's like, yeah, I might have been trading ZB at the time. I don't remember, but I was always one lot when it was top step. I probably should have sized up and done it bigger, and maybe I would have passed. Also, I could go back and look at the stats, but and that was when I made the video and I said, you know what, like I'm looking at this and I can see that it is definitely possible for me to pass the combine, and I think I've done enough to prove, you could curve, what is the word? You could cherry pick this time period and say, yeah, you can pass the combine doing this. And that was enough for me to prove the point, but it seems that it is just much smarter to just save the money up and trade a live account. So then I said to myself, because I was having trouble during that time period, like September, October. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to, I was trading ZB. So the big change that I made was I'm going to go back to ZN, and here's the way that I'm going to do it. And it was a little bit more conservative. And, if I can get a few months under my belt of profitability, then I will take the money that I saved up and I will go and use my account. So I started that in December. I switched to ZN in December, and December was okay. Like it was hard, but it was okay. And I came out, up. And then January and February of that year, because this was, 2018, they really moved down. Like they just sold TF in ZB, right? And I did awesome. I would take that level break trade and man, did so good. And I had some days, I think I did catch a 16 tick winner one of those days. And yeah, I did great. So then when a bonus came in March, I said, okay, we're going to go and we're going to trade that. So I go and I trade that. And there was an FOMC meeting. I remember there was an FOMC meeting, and I took a trade and I made like $200 on that trade, the one lot during FOMC, and I felt fucking awesome. Like, it was great. Things were going well. And then the next week, like, the market completely changed. It was like all of the signals that I had been taking for the past 3 months that were winning for me almost every time. And now that I've been on my live account for, 2 or 3 weeks, they're failing every freaking time. Every freaking time. And then I would say, well, okay, this is just like the market's calming down. Because it does that, right? Like, there's volatility, and then it kind of comes down, and then there's volatility. And I know that I do better when it's the volatility. So I just got to wait for the volatility, right? And then April came, and there was some volatility that April, but I still was not catching them, right? It was like it was doing the opposite thing. So I said, okay, I need to try trading like range bound. So I did that through like the whole summer. And I think that through the whole summer of last year, I was losing every week. And most days I lose. And then by about October, I would say, I think I kind of started to figure out the range bound thing, because it was not just, I was always just looking for like when it was on the edge, and I discovered that's not a smart thing. You got to be way more selective than that. So I think I learned to be a little bit more selective, and then we got back into the time period that we've had now, right? Since December coming in until now, I've been doing really, really well. Now, because of this whole, what appears to be a Federal Reserve policy mistake, and the S&P 500 appearing to be very upset today, and just, I don't want to like get too excited, but when I look at the market today, it really feels to me like we might be going into a recession, And let's fill it out for a couple of weeks, but it feels like we're going into a recession. So maybe this volatility will stick around and it won't be the same. But I was looking at it, and the thing that clued me into this theory was that I saw, I think it was in an article or something like that, because I was looking for like seasonality differences, and they had this study that was done a long time ago, but they showed a very, very clear correlation between more speculation in interest rates around the beginning of the year. So December to March is the best trading time period for treasuries. And trading between September and December is better than trading between May and August. That's that summer time period, right? And then I was looking at it, and they were saying, well, one of the main reasons that hedgers come in to ZN or whatever it is, those people are people that have like bought stocks, and if interest rates go up, it's bad for stocks. So they want to hedge themselves against that. So they will buy, whatever way it is, they'll do the corresponding trade in treasuries, so that if stocks go down, they'll lose money on the stock, but they make money on the treasury from the interest rate. And the longer that they are going to be in the market, the more that they have to consider that. So when these guys that, they're actually going to deliver, and they are taking a position right at the beginning of the contract, that person is much more likely to be doing that kind of hedging. And so that shows us one thing right off the bat, right? you're going to see more hedging at the beginning of the contract. So, and also for the month, because there's the monthly cycle, right? So there's those group of people that are holding them through for the month, right? And then there's the group of people that are trading it around the news, which tends to happen around the first half of the month. And that's how I was able to figure out that, oh, okay, when the contract just started, you trading is a little bit better. When it's the beginning of the month, it's trading is a little bit better. And when the contract changes is a key point, right? So we changed from the March contract to the June contract. Generally speaking, there's not going to be as much interest in the June contract, so you're not going to see as much hedging. But because there's still all that interest about the beginning of the month and everything, March tends to be pretty active. The beginning of April tends to be pretty active. After that, it gets worse and worse. So unless the market is going super crazy in the second half of April, I think I'm going to be much, much more cautious. But it's a theory. So we'll see what we'll do. And the whole thing is we're testing this out during the critical time period last year that I did poorly to see if that same kind of market comes around, am I able to deal with it better? So yes, that is the seasonality of treasuries. Now, I need to figure out the same thing for equities. I know that equities are a lot more dead during the summer, and I know that in this current market, the windows where companies are allowed to buy their own stock, that matters. And earnings and stuff, that matters. But like yesterday was like total panic total panic buying yesterday in equities. And I do not understand what the business conditions were that caused that. The whole thing was just a little nonsensical to me. So for me to trade micro E-minis, I'm going to have to do a lot more research and figure those things out. Whew, that was a long spill. And we did come back we've almost retraced the whole move. I'm really surprised. I guess I shouldn't be. I mean, when you get a news spike like that, they're it's short-term traders. They're going to buy it up and then they're going to sell. But I don't know. The E-mini has recovered pretty well. But what happens if they come back to this 28, 44, 45 area and then, turn back around? Would we go back up? I'm not so sure I'm going to wait around that long. It is almost 8:30, so I can see because you guys are making like comments in here, but it sounds like you guys all just waited for me to finish that whole spill. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. See in ZB how that local offer pressure was pushing down on price and that bigger order showed up below. Where did we go test? So you're talking about the bigger order at 11. Yeah, and we go down and test it. No. It is definitely doing that in this market. It's just kind of a question of if it's going to change or not. I have to say they did stack quite a bit in the 10-year. There's a lot more white above this than there was, when we were back here, right? So it does it all the time, sometimes not as clear. Sure. It might be so subtle that I can't really see it because they're doing it with, 100 lot instead of 1,000 lot or whatever, however big of a thing they are putting on it. But I tell you, I've seen markets too where like um you won't see the big order down here. It'll just be moving, and then all of a sudden the big order shows up right there, and they immediately turn around. I think you know what I mean by that too. Yeah, local offer pressure. So do you see the stacking and pulling um chart, I guess histogram? That's what I'm looking for. The stacking and pulling histogram. You can see first there was a pretty big iceberg right here at what was it at 16? Oh yeah. It was a big boy. And when after that happened, you can see that the stacking and pulling started to be a little bit more bearish. Even though the overall level 2 is more bids than offers. Nothing added lower, right? But see, when the market is doing that, like my take on it is that that's like, if a big order showed up above us, because I think Smash the Bid is saying, if a big order showed up at 148.26 all of a sudden, the market would probably go up and take out a new high. Is that a fair reading of what you're saying? The E-mini is turning down again. I'm not going to take it as too close to 830, but there's maybe a potential buy here in Treasuries and selling the E-mini. Oh man, and remember I said maybe they come up to 28.45 and they turn around, but they didn't even get to 28.45 before they did it. It's not just big orders. You have to see if they are being countered as well. Sure. Um, Countering will cause chop. Right. But my take on it is that that's like somebody bought a ton right there, and they're putting a profit target 148.26. I mean, like that's how we do it, right? I'll buy it. I'll buy it here. And then I'll say, okay, I think that it could maybe get to here. So I'm going to put my limit order in just in case. Right? I think that Smash has been. When Smash first came in, he said a lot of things that I thought were kind of confusing or nonsense. And I wondered if maybe he was like just trying to. What is the word? Troll me or something like that. So you'll see some people that come in and they'll say stuff that seems like maybe it should make sense, but really what they're saying, they're either really bad at explaining things or they're just trying to confuse me. But I think Smash the Bit has been saying a lot of useful things lately, or pointing out a lot of useful things, especially on this thing about the way that it moves towards or away from liquidity in certain situations. But I think that they move towards the liquidity because everybody says, oh yeah, some big guy has gone long and that's where he wants to get it to. So we should be safe. There should be more demand up until that point. They're confusing to me. I'm very new at this. Yeah. But I think that that's what it is. I think that that's like a limit target for the guy. And that's why in some situations it can do the exact opposite. Because if the market's not moving and all of a sudden some guy is showing this big size up here, that just means that there's some guy that we can easily stop out, and so they start pushing against him. That's why I think that there are some situations where that kind of signal can flip. But that's the thing is when the market is range bound, I kind of like every time that I think I see something that's like, okay, here's a really good signal that I can use in range bound action and it'll work. And then like the next week, it'll do the opposite thing. Right. But trends, to me, trends are always act the same way. Like the signals are so much more reliable in trends. That move up that we saw, I mean, you look at it and you say, wow, you bought 29 and you sold 20. That's like amazingly good luck on catching the edges there. You know, I could have gotten 025. You know, like somebody, you could see how somebody that was really, really good at this could literally pick the top and bottom, right? And that shouldn't happen. We know that that's like you're not going to pick the top and bottom. But that's what I'm saying. When it's trending, man, they give you good signals and you really can catch those. You got to be careful though, because they're really good at making it look like it's a top so that they can stop you out. But yeah, there's the E-minis going hardcore. Are they going to make a new low there? And yeah, the thing is if that is what's going on, then when we come down here and we test an area, and people aren't adding orders down below here, that means that there aren't additional people going short. So then all of that stuff that we just saw just happen at that location was profit taking, and now the sell demand is gone, and so there's a good chance that it's going to reverse. I believe that that's what's happened, at least today, that's what was happening. There's probably multiple explanations for that, but that's the explanation that I believe. So when there's a big order and there's some apparent directional chop, they might be hunting that big order. Yeah. Or the other possibility is that big order is just there to trip you up, right? So that's kind of why when I and the other thing is like I think something Smash the Bit is saying that I think is a really good observation or a really good cautionary note is that, you know, if somebody just all of a sudden stacked 10,000 on the DOM here out of nowhere, I would not be reading that in the same way as, oh, we're going to go down there to it now, you know, because they don't want you to know where it is. Yeah, I don't think big guys throw out their targets. I think they will lay orders out there to give the impression of strength to get people offside. Yeah. And I think very often when you do see those outsized targets, it's not like one guy, it's multiple people that just all happen to have the same spot. You know? So if you see one just show up that's really obvious, then you should be suspicious. And then, you know, who knows what happens. I've seen them go both ways. And there are some times where you just kind of know based off of what had happened just before or when that order showed up, you can tell that it's a spoof or it's real or, you know, which way it's going to go. But because I definitely know, I don't know how I know, but I can definitely go back and point to trades where a big order showed up out of nowhere and I, you know, showed up below us and I buy it and we go up. And I've had ones where a big order shows up below us and I sell it and it pulls and we go through it. But I guess the point is that, you know, they're usually going to be a little bit more subtle about it. But on the split side, the jigsaw DOM, sometimes it's sensitive enough to it that you can kind of see, you know, so like just for instance here we've come up, there is a little bit of stacking at 16 and we're moving away. And the orders that were below that 16 are pulling. So it's like those sellers gave up on the trade. They probably took profits, you know, you know, higher than they wanted to. And then this big old 16 is like all of the robots sitting down here that never got filled, and they just leave them there because even though they probably scratch out of the trade, they always want the spot in the queue. So I think that's part of why those form like at 16. Or can also just be somebody sitting there saying, nope, I don't want it to go past 16, so I'm just going to stack a bunch of volume there and buy it if it goes there. And then they can tend to move away from it. At least in this recent market and in trending action, when you see those, they tend to move away from it. It's manipulation. Yeah. I do know that some of this at 148.16 is the robots. Like, what'll happen is, how can I explain this? So like they just ticked up there at 148.19. There's some robots that were seeing that it was about to go bid, and so they bought it. Some of that 225 were robots, right? And then they will put some of that liquidity, to get out at 20 or 21. And I think that different robots have different targets, but you can kind of see sometimes when they buy up, you will actually see these numbers right here change. See that? Ticked it down and some of those pulled. It was like 980 and now it's 958. So it's like 30 robots. They take it off, right? But I mean, there's different kind of strategies and stuff. And so there's some of them that I think that they say they buy it at 20 and then they think that it's going to go to 21 and they're going to get filled. And then if they don't get it, they just break even or puke. But because they have a spot in the queue at 148.21, they just leave it there. And so you get these like, you get, it's almost like a piece of paper, right? And you're pushing, the market is pushing that liquidity out in front of it. And then when they turn around, the liquidity just stays there and it's just left behind. Some of you have a much better grip on nuance than I do. Well, I mean, the thing is that I think, I don't know if I do. I think that I'm probably just better at articulating it, because you definitely see all sorts of crazy, all of you guys really, you'll see something and I'm like, how did they know? How did they see that? Like in retrospect, I can see it now that's what was going to happen, and maybe even why they see it. But when it's happening and like the context and everything, how did they know? But like sometimes your brain just, can see a lot of stuff that you might not be able to see consciously, but it still understands the nuance and the context and stuff. Yeah. Retrospect is the story of our lives. Yeah. Well, I don't know what this is going to do now. So this is the place that the treasuries are at right now. This is the trade that I hate. This is the one where we had like a really strong push up and a reversal and then come back up and you say, okay, so now are they going to reverse down and push even lower, or are they going to keep going up and make a new high? And you're like right in the middle, and how do you know which way it's going to go? And it seems like I always lose this trade. I always read it wrong. So let's generate the Bitcoin. By the way, you see this action that's been going on in Bitcoin? It's doing some weird stuff. So I thought, this was a pretty decent buy. Then they sold it all the way back down to 3,900. And it was an ugly sell. But look at the futures. They actually bought. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Seth, being a tech guy, I gotta build a new rig. Should I go with Intel or AMD for a CPU? It kind of... I think that for most people, it's not really going to matter, to be honest. Most people aren't CPU blocked, you know? And so the little nuance difference between what AMD CPUs are better at compared to Intel CPUs are good at are probably going to be, not big enough for you to notice. I have an AMD CPU, and the reason that I got an AMD CPU was because at the time, um, those were brand new, and they had released these processors that have like 16. How many do I have? I can go to escape and go to performance here, I think. And CPU, will it tell me? Processors 16, but you can't see how much of them are being covered. But with that many 16 processors, then when I want to do a back test, I can test it a little bit faster because of that kind of CPU, right? Whereas if you just want like higher throughput, the top of the line Intel's CPU is a little bit faster. And then the other thing that you got to keep in mind, and it kind of matters when you buy it, but if you were buying right now, one of the things that's going on is that it appears that AMD is about to put out a new line of CPU. So like I bought the 1700X. That was like 2 years ago or whatever. Last year they came out with like the 2800X, and I think that they're about to come up with like 3000s, and the 3000s are going to be like really nice. So if you're just using it as a trading machine, and you can get a 1700X for dirt cheap. For my stepson, we bought a 1700X for $150, and it came with a free motherboard. Free motherboard. Big Toasty, hey. Oh, I think I remember your name. Welcome. I haven't seen that in a while though, so welcome back. So what did you miss, Ace? I don't remember where you left, but oh my. That's interesting. So the PMI data came out. It wasn't very good. We really got pushed up. We made new highs. The market really freaked out. We came back and we retraced almost that whole move. And now we're pushing back up, and it appears that we may get a new high. So in the 10-year, did you see what had happened there, though? That we were pushing up a little bit, and they had stacked 9K. I think it was at 10, or sorry, 01. They had stacked a ton, and it appears to have been in an attempt to push it higher. And then just now we saw the block buy at 02. And who knows what the hell the block buy at 02 is. That, for all I know, that was somebody getting stopped out of a trade. Because we definitely tend to see those sorts of things at like highs and lows. So I think it might be a big trader getting stopped out, but could be wrong. But this is just where I was saying, remember when we were down there at 01, 05, I was like, I hate this trade because I don't actually know where it's going to go. We're right in the middle, and it could go for new high or it could go for new low, and I don't know. I can never seem to tell. Now, the interesting thing is that this liquidity that was left behind at 16 never really went away, and in fact keeps stacking back on. As does the liquidity up above us at 25, even in the 5-year. So they're kind of telling you what the range is, but I would have a really hard time knowing if we're going to make a new high or a new low. Other than, they're stacking and pulling on here, and that can change really fast. Wait for them to fade off. Yeah. Something that somebody told me really early on when I was trading was that, because when I was just recording and I wasn't doing it live, they actually like messaged me on Futures.io and they said you're actually really really good, but you always take it too early. Like you'll see something, wait, wait for them. Like you'll see the signal, wait for the reaction first, and like if there's a strong buy that you see there, wait for them to buy and then see what it does after that, and react to that instead, because they're much more likely to have overextended and given you a high probability trade if you wait. So I think you could do something like, okay, there was strong bid pressure there. They bought it up. Does it hold and go for a new high or not? Right now it looks like they're not. So maybe if they did another little excursion up into 0.5, 02 and it looks good, maybe you could go short there. The E-mini is holding it. I don't know if it's a very good trade in treasuries because it probably very much depends on if the E-mini goes for a new low or not. Anyways, what was I saying before that? I don't know. Oh, so the thing in the Bitcoin here, like after they said that there wasn't going to be any more futures after June, you could see that there was some selling, but then like we really moved down and the cumulative delta is actually going positive here. Quite increasingly so, in fact, new high. I don't think that that's a good thing. Where's the situation where we did that? I don't know. I know it's done that before, but I can't see where it is. Made a lower high, but the cumulative delta made a higher high. I can't see one. Maybe right here. Right here. They kind of came down a little bit and they were still high. I don't know. It may be a dangerous setup. I'm kind of interested to see what Bitcoin's going to do this weekend because it kind of feels to me like it's in a spot where they've got to do something. It might just be like a small impulse, but I feel like that there could be some movement this weekend. Especially after that buy up to 4,000 and they come off, you know? If they make another push, maybe they are able to push it to 4,300 and then you're really in a spot for it to fall apart. But if it doesn't, we could maybe see another slow move back to 3,000 and see. I guess I should probably check on my garlic coins soon too because I reached my target. So I think I want to start the new stuff in a new wallet and then we can like give some of that away. The garlic coin is so funny because the market cap for garlic coin has gotten so small. If you came in and you decided to buy $100 worth of garlic coin, you could probably significantly move price. So what we got going on here? Okay, I'm gonna type some stuff here. So I wanted to, I think I can just do it from over here. Yeah. If I just change it to this week only, and only my ZN trades, of course. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is freaking, look at that, man. Super awesome. I mean, I think that I should have made a lot more than that this week, but I was positive pretty much every day. Except for Monday. I don't think I really took any trades on Monday, did I? Oh, where is it? Where is it? Show stats. Okay, so what was my win rate? Win trades, 54%. Okay. And what was my, where's the MFE, MAE? Ah, yes. Okay, so having an MFE of over 3 makes me very, very happy. These are the stats that I think I want to see. It's only 1 week, but, you know, let's look at, there was, I know, the last 2 weeks is what I want, I think. Because was there some bad stuff? Yeah. There we go. So then when I look at the win rate, is it still positive? Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm doing really good. I'm going to take a screenshot of that and post it for you guys so that we can remember. Since we was talking about it. I don't have anything on there that's like... Now, we do need to look in here. Number of trades, 20. Okay. So 20 minus 250. That's not bad, considering the overall profit. And off the 2 weeks, the MFE is 3. So that's the one that really makes a difference. If I get MFE over really over 2, but over 3, then I just start doing really great. And having a profit factor of 4, I think these are the best numbers I've ever had. Because I've had I think I've had periods where I made more and everything like that, and certainly over a longer time period. But I don't think that I've ever had one with as good of a profit factor. I think I was swinging harder during those time periods. All right. Thank you, Ace. Well, I'm feeling really good about my trading, but let's remember we're about to get into the tough spot. So but man, okay, I got my little guy in. So did you actually take a long on the new high? Long 27 out 30 for 2 contracts. Wow. Good job. Oh, I really like that trade, dude. that was well done. That was on a new high too. That one was gutsy. I don't know, guys. I feel like the world is falling apart. I feel like the financial world is like falling apart. It's just going. Like, that's insane that I could have gone if I had decided to get back in here. Did it touch even? It touched, yeah, I went past it. I literally could have taken that and taken another 10 ticks. It was kind of a FOMO, but like I couldn't ignore the buying anymore without getting the crackhead shakes. Crackhead shakes. You know what? So I was talking to somebody the other day in PM about there's a couple of scams I've been seeing going around, and I'm not gonna like name names because I don't want to be caught on like I don't know. Who knows what these crazy people are going to do? But there's more than one thing that I've been seeing going around that I'm a little concerned about. But there was one that was another trading room, and this member was familiar with them. And I guess that room has been having trouble lately. Like, some of their prominent traders have left and stuff, and because they realized that it was a scam, basically. And he was, and I was like, well, you should have them like post their stories on Futures.io or something like that. And he was like, well, I don't think that that's going to happen because they're all crackheads. You're saying the crackhead shakes. I was like, are a lot of the people that get scammed in trading like druggies and stuff? Like, I guess that would kind of make sense how they could be so dumb to fall for some of these things, but at the same time, like, how do they get that kind of money to do that if they're crackheads, right? Things are fine. Don't panic. The market will always be here long after you and I are gone. Well, when I say things are falling apart, I don't mean like that the financial system is going to collapse or anything like that. But today, I feel like we are headed for a recession. Maybe it's a good thing. Like I don't think that it'll be a recession like a 2008 or 2000 recession where the financial system is at serious risk or anything like that. Although we should watch that student debt thing. If that was anything that did it, it would be the student debt, right? But man, I think that we could have like a mild recession, like a good recession where they have to raise interest rates and then we get over it, and move on. But does seem like that we could get like maybe in Q3 we could maybe even have negative GDP growth. You know, I would hope if we're going to have a recession that it happens in the later half of this year. That's when they started pricing it in. was for it to be the later half of this year. And then hopefully we could recover and be out and be on a good spot going into the next election. Because I think people make really dumb, like in 2008, after that, I thought that voters, especially in the primaries, were not too smart because of the whole market condition that we were in. I guess the primaries were mostly over by the time that the crisis really happened, but I don't know. People do dumb things when there's recessionary things. Somebody was talking the other day, like, with because we were watching the World War II documentary. And I'm talking, but I want to share this thought. I think it's an important thought. We were watching the World War II in color on Netflix, and the kids were talking about it, like if there would be another world war or something like that. And I told them, well, that the thing that discourages war the most is prosperity. They don't do these things when everybody's doing well. Like World War II happened, kind of started during a depression, when people are poor, or when they're scared. I don't want to say poor, but when they're scared and things aren't going so well, that's when they start doing dumb things, and you start getting revolutions and world wars and shit like that, And you look at today, it seems to me that a large portion of our society now doesn't understand markets or economies. They've never really had the opportunity to participate in them in the way that they should because of the last financial crisis and the mistakes that people made. And so they don't even necessarily believe in markets anymore. And that's a real problem, because if they go down that route, then a lot of the prosperity that we've had the past 10 years is going to go away, and then people can do dumb things. And so when I look at it here with us, I feel like, like if you're listening right now and you're watching this, like that says something. Maybe you're not a super great trader, but that says something. You have an interest in something that no rational person should have an interest in, right? Most people, they're going to trade and then they're going to get their butt kicked, and then you're going to say this isn't fun, and they're going to stop doing it, right? But not us. There's something about us that we're wired wrong or something like that. And I think that just means that we're in an important position, right? Like, I almost feel like God put you on this earth to make money. You know what I'm saying? You've got to be the one to do it, and then allocate that capital responsibly. Because if you don't, nobody else is going to do it. And if we don't and nobody else does it, then we could be in a very awful spot indeed. But it is my hope that if we do have a recession, that it's just, a mild recession, and they lower interest rates and we move on and we're fine. That could be great. I think that we're in a spot now where we can handle a recession. So, but maybe we don't have a recession. Maybe we really do come back in the third and fourth quarters, like they make a deal with China and everything's fine. But today, man, it sure looks shitty. So, all right. I've gone on way too long, but thank you guys for watching. I will catch you guys next week. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.